What is up, Netflix fans, and welcome back to my channel. I just watched 1922.
Because if there is no heaven, and there is no hell.
So 1922 is another Stephen King novel adapted into movie form that has come out in 2017. We have seen The Dark Tower, It, Gerald's Game, and now Netflix is tackling another one. If you guys don't know how my reviews work, I like to talk about the good, the bad, and then give you my score. Let's start with the good. So 1922 stars Thomas Jane and is directed by a very talented director. Now, this movie going in, I didn't know what to expect because I had already watched Gerald's Game. I really enjoyed Gerald's Game. There were a couple things that I didn't love, and the same thing goes with this movie. I really enjoyed 1922. Stephen King movies are on a roll right now, and this one is absolutely no different. First and foremost, this is a slow burn. I love the way that this movie just builds throughout the entire thing and then executes at the very end flawlessly. It does a great job of building tension, and I do believe that this is Thomas Jane's, maybe this is his best performance to date. The guy absolutely kills it. I love his very thick accent, and I love all of the supporting actors and actresses involved as well. I thought his son did a good job, the wife while she's in there, and just so many different things about this movie aesthetically worked as well. Some of these shots are just magnificent. I mean, my goodness, it's a bunch of cornfields and crops and farmland, but the way that this movie is executed is beautiful. It's a beautiful film. It's a very cinematic film. I'm actually kind of upset I watched this on Netflix because I do feel like, as small of a scope as this was, I feel like it would have been beautiful to watch in a theater. And I love where the story goes, man. I didn't know what was going to happen because I've never read the book, but where this ended up at the very end was a lot different. I thought it was going to be more on the side of the Stephen King-esque, what we expect from him, but no, it was just more of a thriller, a psychological thriller, and it stayed in the more sane side than I thought it was going to stay. And of course, it's Stephen King, so sometimes you get a little crazy, but it did stay a little bit more on the path that I thought it would. But you know what? It worked. And of course, with the Stephen King adaptation, some of the imagery in here was spine-tingling, weird, and the sound effects when the gunshots would happen, and just the way that the faces looked when it was gross, but it was good. And my final thing in the good, a lot of times voiceovers don't work. It didn't work with the original Blade Runner. It didn't work with a couple movies here and there, but I do believe the voiceover really fits this movie. The way that they intertwine it with what's actually happening in the present, well, the present for the movie, and then what's happening prior. I thought that worked really well, and once again, Thomas Jane, he carries the movie, the entire thing, and it was good. I think one of the biggest complaints about this film is it is very slow. It moves at the pace of which I am talking, and for some people that will turn them off. It didn't really turn me off, but at times I was feeling myself not being as invested as I wanted to be just because of the pacing. And while I think the pacing worked for the story and the resolve, I don't think it works from an audience perspective because it didn't really keep me engaged like I wanted a Stephen King adaptation to, but I do think it worked overall. I also think this movie makes the mistake of pausing to take a breath, which I think sometimes is good when there's a lot of action happening. But in this movie's case, it's not a very action-oriented movie. I think ever so often we pause, we take a breath when we don't really need to, and I think the story needs to move along a little bit. And a thing that this movie does that I didn't love is it glimpses over events that I wish we would have gotten more out of. It glimpses over character actions and character interactions, and I do believe if we would have had a little bit more, it would have made the story a little bit stronger. And not that the movie needed to be longer than it was, but I think it could have helped by the end. So overall, when the movie was over, I had my doubts about some ways that the story turned out, but after sitting and thinking about it for, 7 to 8 hours, because I'm doing this review a couple hours later, I will say that I really enjoyed this movie. It was a very pleasant surprise. I'm going to give it a 77%. Once again, Netflix, you You're doing good, kid. You're doing real good. So what did you guys think of 1922? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Thank you guys for commenting, liking, and subscribing. I have another Netflix review coming out probably right after or like an hour after this one. Is called Wheelman. It is another Netflix movie. Stay tuned to that. And only the brave, I was able to catch that in theaters yesterday. I have 3 reviews coming out today. You guys can check them out if you want to. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you later.